a second, guys. Let me just it's all set to be all magic and stuff. Yeah, my stuff don't work as usual. Oh. Hey, if you're just logging on, go ahead and let me know who is here. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm trying to fix some audio stuff. Hey, Bruce. Sounds like... Hey, Tom. Okay, I could go on for another 6 minutes. How is everybody doing today? Is the audio okay? That was the backing track I just finished today. Here, I'll put the link for this on here for you guys. I realized last week that I'll even stick it in the... Hang on a second here. Oops, that's not the right one. Oh. It's because I'm in the wrong one. But I'll put the... there, it's in the comments now. Anyway, no, I realized I didn't have a good backing track in A for me to jam over, much less teach over, so I figured I'd put that one together. It was just the weirdest thing. Like, it was the simplest thing to put together, but by the same token, there were like 2 or 3 things that I really struggled with. And one of them I realized was that I was using these drum MIDI loops from Addictive Drums, and... Oh, what happened? Oh, okay. And then I realized that the person playing the original performances of those in to make the MIDI files didn't play some time on some parts of it very good. So I had to kind of mess around with that a little bit. But it's fun. It's good tempo. It's kind of bright. You guys have any questions to start off with? I kind of figured we could talk about playing over this, just because we've got it here and it's kind of fun. And it kind of works with what we talked about on Saturday morning a little bit. So go ahead and hit me up on that kind of stuff as you do it. So one thing that I'll start with, whoops, wrong device. Maybe we'll do this here. There's a couple places when I'm playing kind of the jump bluesy kind of thing that aren't real typical for what we would normally do if we're like pentatonic players. All right, so this lick here, all right, that's basically, it's like in the G caged box. We're in A. Actually, maybe I should I'll do the notes here. And we'll erase this. All right, so if we're in A, we're playing an A blues. Here's our root. Minor 7, 5. There's our flat 5, the blues note. 4, minor 3, and the root. Now, I look at these as almost like a little pathway through this. Can you guys see that okay? I'm trying to get it so I get the best. It crops the picture weird on this software. All right. And I think I don't know if I stole from Kirk Fletcher or Junior Watson one of the days those guys were in our studio. But I love this. And what's going on there, there's the root. There's that articulation. Right? I could play those same notes there, and it's just a different vibe. The other thing that I am doing is I'm also playing more by the bridge, which gives it a little bit more of that like West Coast bluesy kind of thing. So I'll play a couple different versions of that with the track. So here's same thing, but just on another string set. So that's kind of messing with that idea. And that first batch of notes, it's basically just the blues scale in that first position, but not in any one of the patterns we normally play. Right? A lot of the time, I'll also do the minor third here. Actually, let me do this in a different color. All right, so I've also got this minor third right there. All right, and then the 2. All right, so then I've got these ideas where I'm like, 2, 4 right there. All right, it's just a great place. If you divide these things up into small chunks and utilize them differently, and then eventually start going, hey, you know what? This, hey, it repeats right there, and maybe it also, what am I thinking? Well, 6. Right, so that's the B.B. King box. Here, so you can actually see the fretboard layout. Right, that's basically like A major pentatonic. Same thing, just an octave higher. Right, that's the same thing, but in the B.B. King box. I can even go right there, right, which gives me the same octave, right, but a little bit different timbre, right? So let me go back. I'm just going to play a little bit. I'm just going to work with those two ideas. That and that, right? And I can do... I could, whatever. All right, so let me play for a second. Now that I've shown you those places, and I'll leave it in this view, and you kind of see how the fretboard works out. Now I'll go. Yeah. Different lick, but typical kind of stuff that we do. Mixed with what I was doing. Okay. Let's talk about that. Basically, I think what I'm going to do today is we're going to talk about like ways that I look at the fretboard that are a little different than just the scales, right? Because I'll group ideas in places, right? So if we're playing over the 1 chord, I've got this bit right here, right? I'll do it in green, right? So I've got 6, root, 2, whoops, 2, minor 3. We'll talk about that idea. Right, because if I do this in red and I move it up a minor 3rd, I've got root, minor 3. We'll just circle that guy. Well, that's not a good way to do that. That's right over it. Minor 3, 4, and then the flat 5, which is the bluesy thing, which is one way of going from the major 1 chord to the 4 chord. All right, so let me go back and we'll show you that idea. Four chord. And then back to the 1. Major pentatonic. Alright, take a quick break for a second. Sorry, Jeremy, no pants. It's No Pants Wednesday. No, actually, the weather here has been very strange. 3 days ago, it was 93. Yesterday it was in the low 60s, and some parts of California had up to 100-mile-an-hour winds. Ours were not quite that bad, but I think we had gusts in the mid 50s. And then today it's just getting warm and dry again. So I'm amazed this guitar is staying in tune, to be honest with you. If the Karina McFeely was out here without the finish, the guitar would just be like exploding in different dimensions because the humidity and the temperature change have been so drastic over the last 3 days. So shorts. Okay, so I'm going to pause just for a second. I'm going to let you guys ask questions if you want to ask questions. A lot of this stuff is basically just kind of moving from the 1 to the 4 chord in ways that allow me to structure the solo. It really makes it easy for me to play ideas that make sense because, once again, I've got something in one place that if I move to fit the next chord, even if it's just like major pentatonic to minor pentatonic, right, for the 4 chord, then I'm actually going someplace with the ideas. Right? It actually kind of moves things along for me. All right, so that's kind of one thing to think about. But this idea, I love that. All right, and it's great because like I'll always think about there are most likely there in like kind of the BB King box, right? But down here, for some reason, that was a big blind spot for me for a long time. I could even do it in the low position too if I want to sound more like Buck Owens. So that's that thought. So let's see. We got that idea. So we have there, right? And I always like over the 4 chord, going from this, the first minor or blues scale, to the second idea, but in this octave, 6 root 2 minor 3. Right, and you can hear the chords change. I hope you guys can hear the chords change. All right, so I'll realign that one for you. Now, okay, so let's talk about that for a second, because I took that idea and I used it totally different, right? Right? I took the 6 root 2 minor 3, put the 5 in there. I moved up a minor third, which gives us the major to the minor thing, but it also kind of almost makes it sound like a diminished sound. I think Jimmy Page does that in some early Zeppelin tune. And you can climb up in minor thirds if you wanted to, or every 3 frets, and eventually you'll get back. If you want to do that, it's kind of like Yngwie meets Led Zeppelin. But I really don't do it that much. I like that. And then that one, because then basically that outlines the blues scale for me. Kind of a path of, yeah, Don Rich. Okay, well, let's just talk about the low sound. those notes. What are these? There we go. All right, so I'm in A. All right, so I've got 0, 2, minor 3. There's 6. And then also, kind of on the, hey, these are also cool notes. You've got the 5 there, minor 7, the root, and then I'll leave the other ones off just for a second. But right. So over the A, I got the open A. Right, 5, 6, 5, 6. All right, I'm bending the 2 up to minor third. Or you bend the 3. Right. A really cool, and these are all like kind of Brad Paisley-isms also, I think. That's Pete Anderson. Like, what does Pete Anderson do that on? Some Dwight Yoakam song. All right, but he takes the A, so we got A, the root, and then the open string root, and he slides a half step up into the A, so it's 4 and a 5, and then the open 5th string. All right, that's kind of a cool. All right, that's almost like Brad Paisley-ism too. Why is this so crunchy all of a sudden? Something weird is going on. Oh, that's what's going on. Must have. Bump that. Okay, so like real quick on the low end for playing an A. Right, I got 5, 6, root. You can get the minor 7 right there, which is on the page. Right, you've got the minor third. Right, that's 3, 2, 6, root. Right, you can slide right the up into the A on the 6th string, and then play the open A. Right, and by doing that, we'll back up here for a second. Right, by doing that, you've got all of that stuff going on down there. It's really cool. You're playing country, but I'll do this stuff on top of blues as well. Right, so say we're playing over this. Let's see if I can make this happen. So, you know, you got stuff you can do down there too. Utilizing your range is a really important thing for me. I really try to get my students to quit playing in one octave. And when they play in multiple octaves, it's about getting them to play in multiple octaves for the sake of the line development. Right? And you see I do this all the time. So some of this is knowing where to find things on your fretboard in one octave in the same position, and then also like where you can find things in the same octave all over the fretboard. Hey Oscar, yeah, we'll have to do some sort of like NAM picture where we're actually just on Zoom, like Zoom NAM. For those of you who don't know, pretty much every year Oscar and I see each other just the one time a year at NAM. We take a picture, we go play some guitars and harass some people, usually at Paul Reed Smith or Taylor, get kicked out of the booth for jamming. And then maybe don't see each other till next year. And it's always a good time. But because there is no NAM this year, NAM week is a very strange, desolate time. All right. So, but anyway, so, you know, a lot of times this stuff, it seems like I'm thinking a lot while I'm playing. And not really. I try to get this stuff to the point where it's just kind of there in my hands, and I hear something and I know where to find it. And in order to do that, I really have to make a point of getting this stuff in my fingers to start with, um, and mapping it out and being a little bit strategic about it in the very beginning, right? You have to be kind of cold, and if you don't know where it is, you're not gonna be able to play it later on, right? And then obviously being able to move this stuff into other keys, that becomes another deal, right? If I was to let's go into the key of E. Coffee in the mug. Maybe bourbon later. Blues back. Okay. So this one's an E. So I'll play that phrase there. I play the same thing there, it's a little bit different sound. Right, I can still play it there. Thinking in A for a whole lot, right? But hopefully, as I was going through that stuff, what you were hearing were the same ideas that I was using in A, but they're mapped out differently in the other key, and then each key kind of presents kind of neat and unique ways of using this stuff. So it sounds different in each key a little bit too. So Oscar has a very good question. Do you collect intros and turnarounds? I do if I like them. If I hear something I really dig, or if I learn something for a tune that I think is really useful, I think everybody's got kind of their grab bag full of intros and things like that. I think it's kind of hard to get away with playing, especially blues, without having that vocabulary. You just can't make stuff up, out of thin air and have it, make sense. So, yeah, I guess I do. I don't. Some guys like Tom Harkenrider's. He's like the ultimate collector. He's just got a million old records, and he just scours them. He's got just this huge vocabulary of stuff. And some stuff he's probably come up with on his own, but a lot of it is he's studied so much of the music, and he's got such a deep vocabulary. And most guys like Kirk Fletcher and Josh Smith and a lot of the modern guys, they've got these vocabularies that are huge because they've literally just spent hours doing that. I haven't spent the hours like those guys have. I do have like my grab bag of stuff that I like to do though, and I think it's kind of important, I mean, honestly, everything that I play is stolen from somewhere else, like most of the rest of us. Okay, so that was E. I'm going to go back to the A pattern, though. Oh, it's right here. And let's talk about some of the other devices that I'm using in the key of A. So if we go back to here, actually, that one's better. All right, over the, you know, we've got the open string stuff for A. You can also do it over the D. I wouldn't do that part, but right. But you can do some of that stuff for the D. Another a favorite one of mine. This is kind of a you've heard me play this a million times because I beat it to death. Is this idea that you can play triads? I'm gonna do these in different colors. All right, so this is over the D chord. All right, so I guess I'll just red. All right, so this basic pattern here. All right, you start with the green ones, and then you move that down 2 frets. All right, so this is D out of the D. This is still D, but we go from the D triad, which is, you know, F sharp. It says the 3rd, 5th, and root of the D. You take the same shape down 2 frets, and what you have here is the 9, 4, 11, and the minor 7. And then right here, I've got, this is the 6, 3, and root. All right, and then this guy right here is the 5, 9, and minor 7. So what's happening, basically you're just playing like a harmonized D Mixolydian scale over the 4 chord. And I love that because it just sounds like I'm playing like some sort of lick here. So. Time. Alright, so that guy right there, I'm basically just playing over the D chord, it goes to the 4 chord, those two, and then I'm taking these, alright, and this is just like if I'm playing D9, and I'm doing that slide that you do for slow blues, but I'm playing the first 2 strings, and the 2nd and 3rd strings, right? So that gives me a little bit of harmony. Believe it or not, I stole that from Joe Satriani on Surfing with the Alien, I think. Or Satch Boogie, he does that somewhere. The strange places that you learn blues licks. But, so... And then back into the A chord. That's a great 4 chord lick. I don't know where I stole that whole thing from, though, so don't. That one I may have come up with on my own. All right, if I was to wanted to play that in A, so here's A. All right, there's that same triad down a whole step, and you could either go like that, or you could do this bit, which is basically it's 7, 6, and 7. Just like if you're playing like Stormy Monday, you got that right there, right? So those, that works the same way, or, right there's the same A triad as right here, just up. And then into the A there, right? So let's give that a try. Let's I'm in A, right? Yeah. going to stop just for a second because I feel like I'm just rambling on pretty incessantly. But I will write, like if we're doing this same idea here in A, so that's D, here's A. All right. There's that guy. Next color is red. That's that guy. Next color is blue. All right, obviously the colors are, you know, what's delineating these chords. And then there's the purple one. All right, so on one string set, I guess that's what it comes down to. Oops. I got those guys, and then up a string, the same idea. Right there. And I mean, and honestly, if I wanted to, I guess I could go D. I do it there, or which we wouldn't because it just doesn't sound that great. Okay, questions. Pause time. Also, do me a favor, if you're digging this stuff, please subscribe. I do this every Wednesday and Saturday mornings. If you hit the subscribe and the little notification bell on the subscribe, you'll actually know when I'm going on. Just subscribing doesn't really get you that notification. And then please hit a thumbs up if you're digging this stuff, because that also helps me. I'm like right on the cusp of like actually being able to do cool things on YouTube. There's a threshold where not only do you get monetized, but they have other features that I would really like to be able to use. So I have another 40 subscribers and like 400 watch hours or something like that. Yeah, I'm very close. So, okay, I'll open it up for questions for a minute. Just because I am very rambly tonight. I'm having fun though. I'm actually playing through my Sir Badger 30. So there's my clean sound, and I'm using an Emerson M drive as pretty much as my overdrive, and then I'm using a Strymon El Capistan just for my my echo. So also, if you guys have anything you would like me to discuss, we'll definitely do that. And the abuser of the pedal steel licks on this stuff. I also like the like those kinds of like harp licks, I guess they call them. So I might have written this in some other. Oops, I'm actually out of neck deals there. But I think part of the key to making this stuff sound good is definitely you know, not just playing your pentatonic, and I can get away with that. So I'll just take like my blues rock approach to this. Oops. bridge. Ah, I forgot. All right. Kind of biting today. Anyway, but that's I think you know, if you're trying to play something a little bit more sophisticated over a blues, especially one that's kind of swingy, you want to have phrases that make sense. You want to be able to play in the pocket. You know, when we talk about playing in the pocket, you know, I'm thinking what a quarter note is, and I'm feeling whatever the subdivision is. Or the triplet, right? So within that. If I was playing without that, right, I still have that quarter note and that subdivision in my playing. And without having that internal time, when you do play over a band or a backing track, it's still not going to sound that great. I think that's the key. We've talked about this in the past, like using the metronome. One of the best ways to get people to start playing in time like that is taking the metronome. This is about 70 beats a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, and using just on 2 and 4. 1. If you can't play with the metronome doing that, then chances are when you're playing over the backing track, it's still not going to sound that good either, because you're not really feeling the time. You have to be responsible for your own time, and I think that's maybe the thing. Oh, I'm playing with the drummer, or the drummer's got really great time, so I'm good. And it's like, well, no. I mean, everybody's responsible for their own time, and your line won't swing if you can't do things like that. I'll put the metronome on sometimes and just improvise with it, and do it in such a way where I try and make the metronome feel good. And that's kind of hard, because basically you're adjusting how you're playing in order to make the metronome kind of sit in time in a certain place. And that's kind of hard to... I'm going to slow this down just a little bit here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So I'm kind of pulling ahead on the time a little bit. Can you guys feel like I'm not really in the pocket that great? maybe I shouldn't be showing you guys that I have difficulty playing in time with the click like that. But I think that's everybody. You know, you want to be able to improvise, put yourself on the spot, and make something work like that. You know, it doesn't have to be like a jazzy, swingy kind of thing, but like that's one of those things that really makes it. You kind of know when you're locked in when you're playing that kind of music. I think a little bit easier. All right, if I was to put there and think 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I'm kind of pushing it a little bit. I'm not really in love with my time on that. But those are the kind of things, like most of the players I know that seem like they play really good in time. Those are the things that they do, and it's frustrating, and it's humbling, and it really proves whether or not you're actually being able to play in time. So then when you go and you play over a backing track or you jam with the band, it's way easier to lock in with what's going on in the band, you know, because you have your own time, you're able to feel it, but then you're also able to feel the time in the vertical. You're able to play in their pocket better because you're actually feeling that part of it as well. So I'm going to pause, give you guys a chance to ask questions, make comments, make fun of my hair. I've become Telecaster guy again lately. For some reason, this guitar, you know, it's just it's really beefy. So, even sounds good with distortion pedals. Actually, we'll get. Yeah, a little noisy, but. So I don't know. I love this guitar, and it's funny because it's not really a special or an expensive guitar, but sometimes you just find the one that's like kind of right for you. So, you know, you can do the same ideas with rhythm guitar stuff. You know, it's best to do it with rhythm guitar stuff. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, maybe I need to practice that a little bit. Once again, trying to make the metronome sound better. So, no questions? I'll see if I have any other good licks. You guys ever learn the... Did Jerry read the claw? Okay, so let's talk about things I can steal from that. All right, the cool thing is, like on that intro. All right, all right. So instead of going, all right, for some reason I've always played the root down here, and then it's 3, 5, 6 root with the double stop, and it would make more sense to go. But I don't know, for some reason it just doesn't feel right. And then we've got, that's the root and the 5 of the A. That's the root in the flat 5. All right, we're kind of got this blue note here for a lot of the lesson today. And then, all right, basically we're over the A, but he's playing the D chord, which gives us like a suspended feel. All right, and then he's barring there and hammering, or not hammering on, but playing the minor to major third idea. All right, and then that guy right there, that's either the D chord, the 3 and the 5, or maybe we're thinking 6 and minor third for the A chord. Let's see. I always talk about watching Brad Paisley try and play his really cool stuff slow, and a lot of times he can't because he's just programmed to do it quick. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. So. Oh my God, I'm blowing it. I played it just a second ago too. I'm gonna remember this as soon as the camera gets turned off. This is embarrassing, but you know, all right, you got a lot of this stuff in A. Right, there's the root and the major third from the A chord. You got those notes. That's cool sound. Right in the back to there. All that stuff is usable. All right, so maybe if I wanted to, let's go back to our jump blues for a second. Let's scavenge some Jimmy Reed or Jared. So, there, I stole from one style and put it in another. Hey, Tom, have a good night. Let me go back to... Actually, I have to say, yes, all tellies are special. Not all of them. Some are garbage. You know what? There's a... I do that kind of thing where basically you're playing around on the time. I do that a lot, actually. That's kind of, I think that's... Right, but I'm always like trying to make sure that whenever I do that stuff, I come back out. So it's creating tension. Yes, exactly what you're saying there. You create the tension and then you release it by getting back in time, and that's another one of those elements. Jerry Reed, yes, that you can use to actually go someplace with the solo. You know, you're playing not just with the harmony and the melodic choices on the notes, but you're also playing with the just the time, because anything that creates tension is good as long as you resolve it in a way that solves your problem or gets your point across. So, but you have to be able to play in time, and you have to be able to play in tune in the first place. And that's kind of the thing that we have to get to first. So. As far as gear goes, I've been talking about my big pedal board rebuild. There's the pedal board all in pieces. I tried building some cables. I got the Mogami 2319 cable and the square plug 5 and 500 ends, and realized that I'm really bad at that. I can solder pickups and stuff. I'm really struggling with the ends. So I'm talking to a friend about maybe I'm just going to cut everything to length, tell him what is what, and then FedEx him the box and say, please make my cables so they don't suck. I like doing stuff myself, but these actually need to work and actually need to sound good and not have ground problems. So most likely that's going to wait another couple weeks before it's done. But then actually it'll have decently built cables. So that's kind of the pedal board update. So you guys got any questions? Ah. So, if you guys are chill, I might just wrap it up at 6:30 tonight. This was actually pretty fun. If you check out the backing tracks, I'm starting to build a playlist of blues backing tracks. I don't necessarily have a lot of good ones in it. I've got some ones that I've built. Some of them were kind of stolen from my album. Like when I first started the channel, I thought, hey, this would be really fun if I basically just took the instrumental parts of some of my songs from the album and made backing tracks out of them. And that worked, but they don't sound as good just because they're taking mastered stuff and then regurgitating it. And sonically, they're not as good as the album, and they're not as good as the other tracks I'm making. But I'm starting to make other ones too. And then also, I'm doing the jazz one. I'm going to do Watermelon Man this week for my jazz classes, so be on the lookout for that one. I've recently done a song for my father by Horace Silver. I've got Cantaloupe Island. I've got All Blues. That's a different playlist, though. That stuff is in it's called Project Length Backing Tracks. Oops. And these are kind of set up so that if you wanted to do like your own short version of a tune, you could play the melody. They're all like the basic, the jazz standards that you learn when you're first beginning. So you can learn the melody, play the melody like you were playing a tune. You can improvise like 4 choruses of solo, and then you can play the melody out with an ending. And when you watch the video, it's actually got the roadmap, the directions where you are within it. So those are kind of useful too. So just kind of food for thought. I guess that's pretty much it. I don't have a lesson this week. I'm probably gonna do one more rhythm guitar lesson. And then I need to take a left turn. I'm kind of burnt out on the kind of beginner lessons I've been doing. Who knows, maybe I'll explore some rock and roll stuff or kind of take a deeper look at some of the other blues guys or something. I don't know. But I'm taking, what do you call it? Suggestions for future lessons here, because I've been cranking these things out for several months, and I've kind of hit like what I needed to do for my conservatory classes, which was the driving force between a lot of the content. And now I'm kind of like, hey, what would be fun, and what would you guys actually be interested in doing? All right, so that's your cue to let me know. Maybe put it in the comments below this, or send me a message and say, hey, I would love to blah blah blah, and I'll build some lessons. I'll do something kind of fun, because I need a change of pace, and that's pretty much it. I need a change of pace. So, all right, guys. I am going to split. Like I said, if you guys aren't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Hit like on the video. All those goofy things that all the YouTubers say. And I will see you Saturday morning and every Wednesday evening like this. Have a good one, guys. Thanks a lot.